as per the constitution, you have to get 50 plus 1 to become the president. And in the event that you don't get 50 plus 1, then we have a real. As it stands right now, there is a clear front runner. And the clear front runner is not challenged because we don't have an alternative or an alternative formation that has really come up to show that they are interested in the seat and they're working towards that. So the front runner I'm talking about is William Ruto. He is currently the deputy president. So he's having some advantage of incumbency, and also he has advantage of security and trappings of power that he can use. Now, William Ruto has been advancing two narratives. The first one is that this is going to be a contest between the hustlers and the dynasties. In other words, children of those who have never been in power against children who have had their fathers in power. Although he's using these words in a very loose way, these words are changing the meaning, because the dynasty now means somebody whose father was once a politician, which actually is not the case when you try to find out the meaning of these words, dynasties, and even the hustler. But that's not the question here. It has been agreed that a dynasty is somebody who is in power, whose father was once in power. That's the narrative is using. In this case, those who are in power include President Uhuru Kenyatta, whose father was the first president, Raila Odinga, whose father was the first vice president, and others, including William Moi or whoever might join that team, whose father was once a politician or a prominent leader. So this is a narrative that is getting traction, and if nothing's done, it is going to bear some fruits for William Ruto. Narrative number two is using a narrative of believers or those who go to church versus those who don't. In this case, as we know, William Ruto doesn't miss every Sundays in church, or in Saturday sometimes, and that's fine. But it's pitching it to look like it is going to be believers or Christians against non-believers. In this case, 80% of Kenya is Christian. So people like Raila Odinga or President Uhuru Kenyatta, who are not seen to be going to church every weekend. Now, whereas the second narrative may not bear fruits, because even those who don't go to church, or those who go to church, they actually have their own supporters. And those politicians in that group called the dynasties still have supporters from those who go to church and those who don't. So that may not actually change overnight just because of a Sunday service or a Saturday service. So that remains to be seen. But the first one may bear fruit. Now, one thing that William Ruto is trying to make everybody to forget is that since independence, 57 years down the line, almost 60 years down the line, there are only two ethnic communities that have been at the helm of the presidency and have ruled Kenya, and that's the Kikuyu 3 times, Kalenjin once, but for a long period of time. So President Moi was in power for 24 years and 10 years as vice president. We had the first president, Jomo Kenyatta, who was in power for 15 years. Then we had Moi Kibaki for 10 years, and now Uhuru Kenyatta for 10 years. So basically combined, all the 57 years since independence have been Kenya has been led by either a Kikuyu or a Kalenjin. So that is something which Kenyans actually care about. It's not an issue of ethnicity, but it's an issue of what about other people. Now, William Ruto hopes to use this tool of hustlers, like those people who don't have anything, poor people, people who are disenfranchised, and try to group them and pitch them against those people who have. So us versus them. So this narrative, he hopes that it will override the narrative of 2 tribes against 44 tribes. Remember, now we have the Wamakonde, and the Asian communities have been recognized as Kenyan communities. In so doing, if the dynasty group, or the formation that may seem to be coming from Mount Kenya region, or from Raila Odinga's backyard, or that kind of formation with the end kingpin from this region, if they don't use a tactic called reverse psychology, then they will not actually bring down William Ruto. He will become president. Now, this is what I propose. If you ask anybody that Kenya will accept a 5th president from the Kikuyu community, they will not accept that. So there's no question that no Kenyan is going to accept a president, a 5th president from the central part of Kenya, which is the Mount Kenya region. No Kenyan is willing to stand to accept that. Now, why would Kenyans then accept a president from Rift Valley or from the Kalenjin community? It's because Ruto he knows this is the baggage he has. He was with Moi. He was actually a son of Moi. He grew with Moi. Moi, is the one who molded him politically and made him grow in politics. But he doesn't want that to be said. So the only way the central people can help Kenyans to elect and somebody else other than the Kalenjin or the Kikuyu is to use reverse psychology. And this is a form of manipulation. If you ask me, reverse psychology is a form of manipulation. So the only way they can use this is by identifying somebody from central Kenya who can be widely accepted as the Uhuru successor. At the moment that those people are saying Peter Kenneth might be a good candidate, those who are saying CS Mutahi Kawe could be a good candidate for that. Those who say Governor Mangwa Iria or Governor Anne Waiguru. And there's also this other guy called the Sanders Party guy. His name is Mwangi Kiwinjuri. But if you ask me, either Peter Kenneth or CS Mutahi Kawe, those look like they look like they have that kind of aura. There's that aura of becoming the better man, or even the former governor Kavuko. Now, one of these men or woman should be fronted as a presidential candidate today, or this year, or very soon. And make sure that the Mount Kenya region rallies behind this proposed Uhuru successor from the mountain, and they front him as a presidential candidate who's going to face William Ruto. The impact with that will be is it will now change the narrative of the dynasties, or the hustlers versus dynasties, or the churchgoers versus the pagans or the atheists, to, is it about 2 tribes? That is how it will change. So this so-called heir of Uhuru Kenyatta can be popularized across Mount Kenya and other regions. Then when 2022 approaches, we can have a Kibaki Tosha moment, which is going to be a moment whereby this presidential candidate can endorse someone else other than Kalenjin or Kikuyu. That way, we can get a candidate who can change the narrative of hustlers versus dynasties. So if you ask me, Raila Odinga is from the Luo community, could be the candidate. Dr. Fred Matiang'i is from the Kisii community, he could be the candidate, he has the capacity. Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi could be the candidate, or even Professor Kivuda Kibwana, Governor Dr. Alfred Mutua. Those are some of the people I think who can be, supported, and they can be formidable to face William Ruto and actually win an election decisively. Without that, it is going to be difficult to defeat William Ruto. And I don't have anything negative about William Ruto. Like, I don't have personal difference, but I feel that he has some questions he has not answered. And for that, I might be biased. I do not think he's fit. The kind of tricks he's using, the kind of narratives he's using, he's weaving them in a very trickster kind of way, and that is not the president we want in Kenya. He has been in power for 8 years as vice president or deputy president. He should for sure should have done something for sure for the country. Not to turn around and say we should be looking for jobs for the people. What should you be doing as a deputy president? So 2022 will present a moment for Kenyans to make a departure from the past and elect fresh leaders who can now take Kenya to the next level, just like Singapore was taken to the next level. So those are my thoughts. So Raila Odinga, if he wants to be a transitional leader, he should be in this mix. You can kill the handshake at the moment, let Mount Kenya create somebody, let the country seem to be dividing along ethnic lines, unite Kenyans later and endorse one person who's a Nandi-Kikuyu and a Nandi-Kalenjin. We are not saying that they don't have people who can lead. Yes, they can lead, but at least this time around, let's show nationalism. Let's show that we have other people from other parts of the country who can be president. If we so do, then we'll have an impact going forward of allowing other people a space to lead, and we see what they can do. About the handshake, about the BBI, that's a question of another day. Is unnecessary for now. That's my opinion. Thanks for watching. John Oniaki endorses the message. Thank you.